Well, good evening, everyone. It is 5 o'clock. Thank you so much for taking time out to join us. I'm going to give it just one more minute. I do see some more participants joining, and sometimes technology can be a challenge and take a little bit longer. So we'll just wait one more minute. Thanks, everyone, for your patience, and then we'll get started with the presentation. Okay, it is now 5:01. We'll go ahead and get started. Looks like we've got a good crowd joining us. Good evening, everyone. I'm C.R. McLeod. I'm the Director of Community Relations for DelDOT. And again, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to join us to really hear an overview of our capital projects that we've got taking place on the Route 24 corridor over the next several years. And we wanted to have this meeting to provide an overview of the projects that have already begun and those that will be beginning in the near future. These improvements are focused on increasing the safety and traffic flow on Route 24, which we all know is badly needed as we continue to see a lot of growth happening in this area. Our agenda for this evening is to have each project manager provide an update on each specific project. And if you do have a question, please use the Q&A tab just located on the bottom of your screen to type in your question, and then we'll be answering these at the end of the presentation. If you do have a specific issue that you would like to discuss, we'd be glad to discuss that with you individually after the meeting and with the appropriate project manager. And we'll definitely flag that. If we don't get to it in the general Q&A, we will certainly be following up with you individually. If you are joining by phone, unfortunately, you won't have the ability to ask a question. However, you can submit it via email to us, and we'll be glad to get back to you promptly and provide any information or address any issue that you may have. And we're happy to do that. So again, thanks so much, everyone, for your time and attendance this evening. We are attending this presentation. It'll be recorded and it will be made available tomorrow along with these slides. So if you have any neighbors or others in your community that might be interested in seeing this, we'll gladly make it available and encourage folks to share it. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. And our first presenter this evening will be John Gaines, who is overseeing our first large project underway on Route 24 at the Mulberry Knoll intersection. So with that, I'll turn it over to John.
All right, so my name is Mark. I am not John, and John was having technical difficulties, and it was working 5 minutes ago. No audio from John. I'm going to call an audible and try to get through John's presentation. So thanks, CR. If John gets his audio fixed, he will jump in. But my name is Mark Lutz. I am a deputy director here at DelDOT, and I'm going to try to get us through these first couple projects. So sorry about that, folks, as we hit our first technical difficulty. So I'm going to start by talking about the Mulberry Knoll to Route 1 project on Route 24. If you are living in this area, you are well aware that this project is under construction. And I will let you know that we are hoping to complete the project in early 2022. So about a year's time left on that project. All right, are we having more technical difficulties here? There we go. So what you're seeing here is a artist rendering of the intersection of Plantation Road, Warrington Road, and Route 24. This project is expanding Route 24 to 2 lanes in each direction with extra auxiliary lanes, turn lanes, and bicycle lanes, sidewalks throughout that corridor. And good, the paging forward is working better now. So, so with that, this project is addressing safety and operational improvements. We'll have a center turn lane and upgrades to the side streets at all the key intersections. Multimodal improvements, including things like crosswalks, again, sidewalks, paths, pedestrian signals, and things like that. So, as you know, various lanes are closed during construction. We are happy to say that there was the right turn lane from 24 to head down to the south there on Warrington Road has reopened. We know that was causing some added congestion, as you would always expect in a construction project. So we apologize for that, but moving this project along, we are maintaining at least 1 through lane in each direction during the duration of the project. And as well, there may be intermittent closures at nighttime or for construction deliveries and the like. So, so again, that project is deep into construction, and at this point, our schedule is that should be complete in early 2022. So just giving, nope, looks like John is not, continues to have.
Yeah, I'm back up,
He's
Mark.
back,
You got
all right.
me.
So
Yeah,
good.
I don't know what happened there. Somehow it switched from computer to phone and just completely cut me out.
All right. So
my apologies, folks.
All right. So I'll let, anything you want to add on the first project?
No, I think, well, I missed most of what you were saying. So
I think we're good on the first one. Let's move on to the second project.
Okay. Will Nallman will now be presenting the next 2 projects.
All right. Thank you, Mark and John. Good evening, everybody. My name is Will Nallman. I'm the project manager for the next 2 projects we'll be discussing tonight. The first of which is SR24, Love Creek to Mulberry Knoll. So as you can see, our projected construction schedule is on the right side of the screen. We intend to start construction on this project in spring of 22 with estimated construction completion in fall of 23. On this slide, you can see a visualization of the intersection. As you can see, we'll be dualizing east and west SR24 from Mulberry Knoll to Aventers Way, which is about 1,500 feet west of the schools, Love Creek Elementary and Beacon Middle School. Also, as part of our project, we'll be providing or extending left and right turn lanes at both of those intersections. Now, west of Aventers Way, SR24 will be 1 lane in each direction, but we will be providing a shared left turn lane from Aventers Way to our project limits at Love Creek. Now, we'll also be making multimodal improvements to the corridor, which includes new bus stops, bike lanes, sidewalks, and pedestrian crossings at both the intersections of Love Creek Elementary School Drive and Mulberry Knoll. And of course, during construction, we'll be trying to maintain 1 through lane in both directions on SR24, with closures of turn lanes as needed to limit the disruption of traffic along the corridor. Looking to the south, our next project includes 2 intersections, the first of which is SR24 Camp Arrowhead Road, and the second is SR24 at Angola Road. Shown to the right again is our construction schedule. We are looking to start construction late summer this year, with the project wrapping up in the spring of 23. Here we have another visualization of the intersection of Camp Arrowhead Road and SR24. As you see, we'll be adding or extending right turn lanes on all legs of the intersection. And within our project limits, we'll be providing 5-foot shoulders on Camp Arrowhead Road, which includes bike lanes. We'll also be making multimodal improvements to this intersection as well, which includes 2 new bus stops, sidewalks, bike lanes, and pedestrian crossings along SR24. During construction, we'll be maintaining lanes in both directions on SR 24 with limited lane closures to the nighttime to avoid disruption of traffic. I did also see in the Q&A already, people were concerned about both Angola Road and Camp Arrowhead Road being detoured at the same time. Our intent is to construct each intersection separately, so there would be no detour on both those roads at the same time. Both either Angola Road or Camp Arrowhead Road will be opened at the same time. And as I mentioned before, detours will be provided for Camp Arrowhead Road and Fairfield Road at alternate times to expedite construction time. Second half of this project is the intersection of SR 24 and Angola Road. Again, we have another visualization here showing what we'll be doing. We'll be realigning Robinsonville Road to SR 24 to eliminate the skew at the intersection. And again, we'll be adding or extending left and right turn lanes on each leg approaching the intersection. And within our project limits, we'll be providing 5-foot shoulders and bike lanes on both Angola Road and Robinsonville Road. Similar to Camp Arrowhead Road, we'll be making multimodal improvements. We'll be adding a new bus stop, bike lanes, and pedestrian crossings through the intersection. And similar to Camp Arrowhead Road, we'll be maintaining a travel lane each direction on SR 24 during construction. And detours will be provided for Angola Road and Robinsonville Road at alternating times to expedite construction. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for your time. And if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A box. With that, I'd like to pass the presentation to Mr. Barry Benton to talk about Burton's Pond dam improvement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Will. I'm Barry Benton, and I'm the project manager for the Burton Pond Dam improvements. This is not a corridor improvement project. This is simply a project to replace the existing spillway, but we wanted to discuss it since it is going to be within the next year. So the project objective is to replace the existing spillway, which consists of stop logs and is depicted in the image in the front. The current spillway is in need of replacement because it's in poor condition and it lacks capacity. It's also very difficult and dangerous for the DelDOT maintenance staff to open the gates during storm events. The new spillway will have increased capacity by using the piano key weir and mechanical gates, which are shown in the image in the back. The increased capacity will reduce the frequency with which DelDOT staff will have to operate the gates. And when they do need to drop the pond levels to protect the road, it will be much easier and safer to do so. The project will start in construction in the fall of 2022 and will take around 3 months. 2 lanes of traffic will be maintained throughout the project with lane shifts, so impacts will be limited to periodic off-peak lane closures for delivery of equipment and materials. I'll now turn it over to Mark Whiteside, and he's going to discuss the SR 24 and SR 5, SR 23, and Long Neck Road project. Mark?
Thank you, Barry. Good evening, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Mark Whiteside. I'm a project manager here at DelDOT. I'm here today to talk about a few more safety improvement projects that will soon be in construction as we head further south along SR 24. So the first project I'll talk about today is the SR 24 Long Neck Road intersection. For this intersection, we anticipate roadway construction to begin this spring with a completion date in the fall of next year. Utility relocations and signal work is scheduled to be done in advance of the roadway project, which we do anticipate will reduce the overall construction duration. For this project, the improvements include extending left turn lanes to allow for more vehicle storage. The project also includes multimodal improvements such as dedicated bike lanes, ADA compliant sidewalks, and bus stops. Also, with this being a safety project, we will be using access management strategies by proposing channelized islands at several business entrances within the project limits. Now, in regards to the traffic impacts during construction, the construction is phased to mostly consist of temporary lane shifts. These lane shifts will be allowed to occur during the daytime hours. We certainly need to monitor and be aware of the traffic congestion in this area, which means the majority of construction for this project that would result in more significant impacts to the traveling public, such as turn lane closures or an impact to a business entrance. These construction operations will most likely be done during the night. So I would like to emphasize the note that night work is likely to happen on this project. So the next project I would like to talk about is another SR 24 safety improvement project. This one's located just west of the Long Neck Road. This project involves the intersections at Mount Joy Road and Bay Farm Road. For this location, we anticipate construction to begin this upcoming summer with a completion date in the fall of 2022. This project's right-of-way acquisition is complete and utility relocations have begun. Again, having the utility relocations finished prior to our roadway contractor being on site should help reduce the overall construction duration at this location. So the display that is going to be shown are the improvements of the SR24 at Mount Joy intersection. These improvements are very similar to the previous project that I just presented. The improvements include extending turn lanes on all approaches, as well as adding a dedicated left turn lane on Mount Joy Road, as well as Oak Orchard Road. Multimodal improvements such as bike lanes, ADA compliant sidewalks, and bus stops will also be included. This will hopefully encourage alternative modes of transportation, as well as help local residents move safely through the intersection. Also, due to safety concerns, DelDOT is proposing to construct the channelized island at the Royal Farms entrance, which is located directly along SR24. So as we look into the traffic impacts during construction at this intersection, the construction phasing will mostly involve temporary lane shifts during the day. However, there is potential for detours that could occur for short periods of time when the contractor needs to work in the middle of the intersection, as well as for closures of existing turn lanes. For most of these turn lane closures, the contractor will need to follow the work hour restrictions noted in the contract documents, which means that most of these lane closures will occur at night. The next half of this project is at the intersection of Bay Farm Road and Autumn Road. The project improvements at this intersection are very similar to what we were proposing at the Mount Joy Road intersection. This will mostly involve extending and adding turn lanes, as well as providing pedestrian and bike facilities. The traffic impacts during construction for this intersection will include an approximate 30-day detour for the full-time closure of Autumn Road. There is also potential for other short-term detours if an existing turn lane needs to be closed. And again, very similar to the Mount Joy Road intersection, if a turn lane closure needs to happen, it will most likely be during the night hours. So that basically sums up these intersections. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mark Lutz to discuss more projects along SR24.
All right, thanks, Mark. So I'm going to take us through the remainder of our prepared presentation and the home stretch here. So the next one we're going to talk about is a pavement and rehabilitation project that's going to be occurring in basically within the town limits of the town of Millsboro. And it basically extends from 113 through the town limits, as well as work on State Street from Route 24 to the Little League there, just to the west of Route 24. So this project is mainly a replace in kind pavement and rehabilitation project. It's part of our asset management, pavement management program. And so most of a mill and overlay and most of the pavement and striping will be just replaced in kind. We are making some operational upgrades as shown on the screen here. This is Route 24 westbound approaching Route 113, where we're going to be able to restripe the median area. And by shifting things around a little bit within the existing curb line, we're going to significantly lengthen the westbound Route 24 left turn lane for traffic that's approaching Route 113 and then heading south on Route 113. As again, as you all know, that's a very, very busy intersection, one of the busiest ones in the county, and it often backs up, and adding that extra storage should be very beneficial. So we'll also be making some minor modifications to the striping around the State Street intersection to hopefully improve the way traffic and trucks can turn through that intersection. And of course, again, if you're a resident of this area, you know that we had a rail project that was related to this paving project that was completed last year. So that job is complete. So for this work, the work on Route 24 will be night work. So it will minimize the impacts to traffic during the day. The work on State Street is planned to be day work. This project is getting ready to go out to bid now, and so we plan to have a contractor on board by early summer, and we hope to get them started by the end of summer, and then the project should be completed by hopefully by the end of the year, if all goes according to plan. So those were the 7 main projects on Route 24 from 113 to Route 1 that we really wanted to cover in our presentation tonight. I am going to spend a little bit of time now on some other projects in the area. We're not going to get into a whole lot of detail on these. We will have separate public involvement on most of these, but the one small one is down there at that same intersection of 113 and 24. So now going in the eastbound direction on eastbound 24 approaching 113, we have a design that's nearly complete to add a separate right turn lane there right in front of Wawa. So we are hopefully on the very end of wrapping up our right-of-way negotiations on that job. And then as soon as that's done, we'll be able to transfer that to our construction section. And if the planets align, which we are hoping for that to happen, we may have that, or we hope to have that improvement implemented before this summer. So before summer 2021. So that is our hope for that small turn lane project we have there in front of the Wawa in Millsboro. Now, a much larger project that's several years out is the North Millsboro Bypass project. That project is currently in design and right-of-way acquisition is underway. That project, our goal is to be in construction by 2023. So we're forging ahead in design, and you will definitely hear more from us on that project. We'll have at least one more public workshop on that project at some point in the future. Hopefully it is in the post-COVID era and we can all meet together in person as opposed to doing it virtually as we are tonight. The other project on the other end of this corridor is Plantation Road. So that corridor has been broken up into 2 pieces. The northern piece from Route 9 to Robinsonville Road, approximately to Robinsonville Road. That's the first phase of our project there, and we're hoping to be in construction for that project in 2022 to 2023. So that project will improve the connection between Route 9 and Plantation Road, Beaver Dam Road, and the Henlopen Landing development there. As you all know, that's a very tough, short connection. So we're going to be able to make that connection longer and install a roundabout on the Beaver Dam Plantation side that should significantly improve the traffic flow through that tough area there. As well as the project includes a partial widening of Plantation Road and other, as almost all significant DelDOT projects have, multimodal improvements. You've heard that word many times throughout the presentation tonight: crosswalks, sidewalks, etc. So with that concludes the projects that we wanted to talk about. Since we do have some time here, I do want to mention a little bit about, there's something called the Henlopen Transportation Improvement District, which is a formal district that's been agreed upon by the state and the county. It's located on the eastern end of our corridor here, so kind of encompassing everything from roughly from the Burton Pond Dam project all the way to Route 1, and then it goes up to Route 9 and over to the bay. And that improvement district is intended to have it's basically a mechanism where transportation projects are funded partially by the state and the federal government, but partially by all the development growth that's happening in that area. And the intent is to better manage the transportation projects as those developments are built and then are occupied. So there are a lot of projects recommended within that transportation improvement district. There's new connector roads, there's widening of various roads, there's new traffic signals, roundabouts, turn lanes. So there's a lot of projects that are recommended as part of that. We call it, because we're engineers, we have to give everything an acronym, a TID, the Transportation Improvement District. So I just want to mention that because those are a lot of projects that are kind of planned but are not yet in design, and so construction is still likely several years out. And in fact, some of those projects might not be built for 20 years. But other ones, particularly some of the ones that might get, we may work with certain developers to build certain small projects within that TID. Those could happen much sooner. But I wanted to throw that out there because I didn't want to give you the impression that the projects that we're talking about tonight are the last projects you're going to be seeing either on Route 24 or just in that general area. So with that, I guess the last thing I want to say as we wrap up here from my perspective is we've given you a lot of schedules tonight. So let me put a caveat on every schedule and every date that we expressed tonight, that those are all subject to change. That is the best information that we have at this point in time. The transportation process and project delivery process is a complicated one that is highly regulated, and there's a lot of different parts and pieces involved to delivering projects, and there are a multitude of things that could in particular delay projects, whether that is unforeseen field condition that we come upon once we get into construction, or it's a potential delay in a utility company thought they were going to be able to move utility lines on a certain schedule, and they have delays, and that can delay our projects. Our right-of-way acquisition process can take longer than we like sometimes. Our environmental approval process is very highly regulated, how our projects are permitted and approved, and those can delay us as well. So all the schedules we gave you tonight, we are hopeful that we can hit those schedules, but we may not always hit them. And beyond paying attention to public workshops like this and attending, which we greatly appreciate your participation, a great way to stay up to date on our projects is the website right in the middle of the screen right now, deldot.gov/projects. We strive very hard to keep our project websites very up to date. And again, that's where we keep the latest and greatest information. So if things change, we update those websites on a very frequent basis. So with that, I will hand it back to CR.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks everyone for your time and attention. And again, while we would all much rather be in person, we're hoping we get back to that at some point here in the very near future. And appreciate you all taking time out to join us virtually and making the best of it. You know, we really want to just continue to have a good dialogue with the community as these projects progress. And we have a number of questions that have been posed in our Q&A box. What I'll do is I'll be reading through them. Some of our project managers have been answering those individually, and we'll just turn it over to them. And if you do have others as we go forward, please go ahead and add those. I will comment. I did see a few comments about, is this being recorded? Will it be available? The answer is yes. We will make the links available. We'll also make the presentation itself. We tried to move through this quickly. We know we wanted to be sensitive to everyone's time, but some would like to take some more time to look at the graphics that we have. Glad to share all this information with you all, and we'll make that available, and we'll strive to have this presentation posted on our project page tomorrow, or you can just shoot an email if you want to send it to the DOT public mailbox. We'll get this out to you directly as well. So with that, I'll go ahead and just start at the top with some of the questions we've got, and we'll go from there, and we'll have our project managers chime in, and I'll go ahead and just moderate those questions. So the first one we received was, with the plan to work on 24 with Camp Arrowhead and Angola Road being impacted at the same time, how will emergency medical personnel, urgent, emergent matters be handled if the two in and out roads are impacted? And it looks like.
So that's a great question. Our intent is to not detour Angola Road and Camp Arrow Road at the same time. Truly, these two intersections are probably going to be built as two separate projects to limit MOT or from a maintenance of traffic standpoint, to limit disruption on 24. So again, Camp Arrow Road and Angola Road will not be detoured at the same time.
Great, thanks, Will. So no detours at the same time, which will be important. Again, we will communicate that with our emergency services. We do have our project manager helping to do that. So again, yeah, we're very sensitive to those types of issues on all of our projects, and we'll make sure that as things change and we're moving through different projects, we'll make sure that we keep emergency services informed of all that work, so that helps them as they're prepared to respond to emergencies all along this corridor. The next question, and it looks like this one was right there. So I think we just answered that. How long will Camp Arrowhead and Angola Road be impacted at the same time? And we'll look to your comment that there won't be concurrent detours, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And the next question we have here is, why was this plan created with both Angola Road and Camp Arrowhead both in and out access to many homes, including ours in Marsh Farm Estates, scheduled at the same time?
No, I think that's asking the same thing there.
Okay, all right.
So no concurrent detour.
So again, we won't be detouring at the same time. That is the answer to that question. Okay. And what is the reasoning for widening the road from Mulberry to the Indian River Bridge before widening the bridge?
So I'll try to get that one, CR. I'm not sure what the question means, because we're
referencing.
We're not anywhere near the Indian. Does it mean unless they mean the Love Creek Bridge? But we're not anywhere near the Indian. I don't know. Will, do you understand that question better than me?
I think I understand what they're asking. So yeah, the dualization of SR24 ends at Ventures Way, which is 1,500 feet west of the schools, and it'll still be single lane approaching Love Creek Bridge for about another 1,500 feet or so. So there won't be two lanes going directly into a bottleneck at Love Creek. I think that's what that question is.
Okay, so I call that the Love Creek Bridge. Maybe that's okay. So more generally, the closer we get to Route 1, the traffic from the side streets is really picking up, and generally traffic is increasing as we get closer to Route 1. And so that's kind of why we are making it 4 lanes east of Love Creek at this point in time. On a bigger picture scale, in the 90s and early 2000s, we were starting to talk about widening all of Route 24 from 113 all the way to Route 1. And there was major public opposition to that bigger picture plan. So DelDOT abandoned that plan, and by 2010, 2012 timeframe, we kind of regrouped and redid what we thought we were going to do, and to really focus on what ended up being the projects that we just presented tonight. So instead of a full dualization, 4 lanes, 2 lanes in each direction from 113 to Route 1, we are now doing a little bit of that, as Will was talking about, from near the schools, tying towards Route 1. But west of there, it's just still going to be, we were just doing smaller operational and safety improvements. And again, the addition of some of these turn lanes, the crosswalks, all the things that we talked about tonight are again, none of that is a major capacity adding project. Those are all safety and operational upgrades. So again, that all kind of was how this corridor evolved over the last 20 years and our conversations with the county and the public out there. Now, when I was talking a little bit about the Transportation Improvement District, one of the projects listed in that list of transportation projects is the further widening of Route 24 from where we are currently, our current design ends, again, a little bit west of the school, but east of Love Creek. So one of those TID projects is plans to extend that widening on Route 24 farther west over Love Creek and closer to the Camp Arrowhead intersection and beyond. So again, that project it's planned. It's not yet prioritized or scheduled. We don't have a schedule or anything for that yet. But if you want to know more about those future projects, those are on the DelDOT website under DelDOT.gov, and then you go to programs, and then that's all laid out in the Transportation Improvement District section of that part of the website.
Thank you, Mark. The next question that we had was, how will homeowners be alerted to the traffic impacts? And that's a great question. And we want to make sure that we are pushing information out and updates on all of these projects. Mark did mention our DelDOT project pages, which you can access. We also do regular communications with our legislators in Sussex County. Our legislators do a great job of taking that information and sharing that out to all of the communities, and we'll continue to do that. So they're a great resource for information. We also have a general project manager who is going to be helping to oversee all of these projects. And again, there's going to be some overlap. So Tom Grieve, who was actually one of our, a former DelDOT employee, is going to be tasked with helping us do that. Tom, do you just want to pop on for a moment and introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. Good evening, everybody. My name is Tom Grieve, and as CR mentioned, I was a previous DelDOT employee currently working with Century Engineering, and I am being tasked and responsible for advanced utility work and construction management of all the projects along the entire corridor of Route 24. My email contact information is included in the DelDOT project website information that CR mentioned earlier. So if anyone has any specific questions about utility issues or construction issues on some of the projects, you can reach out to me through that email address. Would be fine.
Thanks, Tom. And again, we also have our social media pages that you can follow, where we do push out regular news and updates. If you are on social media, we even have a DelDOT traffic alerts section. We also have our free DelDOT app for those of you that do have smartphones. It's a great resource, and you can access our project pages. So yes, we do try to get information out as broadly as possible. And again, if you do have a specific question at any time, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to discuss and share with you the latest info that we have. So the next question we have, and I believe this is for John Gaines, if he's able to unmute himself, is, why are you waiting 2 years to put the traffic light at Mulberry Knoll? This is a nightmare. Traffic is backed up because someone wants to make a left turn. So I don't know if John's able to join, or Mark, you're going to take that one.
I'm sure John could answer it as well, but I make sure in case he's still having technical problems. So we are very careful about where we put new traffic signals. So we do not want to signalize this intersection until all of the new lanes are installed that Will talked about and that are part of that project. We carefully study all those traffic signals that we installed, and oftentimes, although there's a public perception that installing a traffic signal solves all the world's problems, we are often finding that that not only are crashes increasing, but injury crashes are increasing when we're installing new traffic signals. So there is not a significant major crash problem at this intersection now. The need for a traffic signal here is really more related to the development growth in the area that is coming. So that is why we are waiting for the project to install the lanes before we implement that traffic signal.
Great. Thanks, Mark. The next question we had was from a resident of Angola Beach and Estates. If Camp Arrowhead Road and Angola Road are closed at different times, how will we decide which way to come or go? We'll definitely be using signage. Will, do you want to chime in on how we will coordinate that effort?
Yep. So just like CR was saying, we're going to use signage advanced of these detours to let you know exactly when the road is closed. There'll also be portable changeable message boards in advance of any of those detours to let you know, hey, the traffic pattern's changing, upcoming, be aware of that. So you'll have advance notice of when these detours are going to be coming in. And it should be, again, with the signage, should be obvious which way will be opened to traffic.
Thanks, Will. The next question we had is, will the bike lane on 24 extend from Angola to Camp Arrowhead Road?
That is a great question too. So unfortunately, because this was an HSIP, just safety project, we are only able to extend the bike lane and shoulder within our project limits on Camp Arrowhead Road. But a good thing about that is we will be able to get that bike lane to the reverse curve on Camp Arrowhead Road, which would improve bike safety through that part of Camp Arrowhead Road.
Great, thanks, Will. And we continue to invest in our trail system across Sussex County, and that's something we will keep on our radar for future improvements as well. The next question we had was, how are you relieving the issues of entering 24 from communities heading to Coastal Highway?
So, CR, I'm presuming this is a question about if you're in a community with an unsignalized
Correct.
access to Route 24, in other words, stop signs. So it is impossible for us to put a traffic signal at every intersection on this corridor or any other. So that is why part of my, part of the previous response as well about the new signal at Mulberry Knoll, that location was kind of carefully considered as an intersection of state road with a state road. And we do the best we can to plan out the location of our new traffic signals as best as we can. And that will always leave other locations, whether it's a single residence. I mean, there's private houses, as you know, that access Route 24 directly, or small communities or medium-sized communities with unsignalized access. And during busy times, particularly during the summer, it could be quite difficult to, in particular, make a left turn. Usually it's it may be difficult to make a right turn as well, but it could be really difficult to make a left turn. And so, as a resident on this corridor, I think everybody understands that. And during those busier hours, I have the same issue where I live. There's times when I turn right instead of turning left and then make a U-turn or go around the block to make my way out, because again, there's no way that we could put in a traffic signal, again, not just based on the cost, but based on the safety impacts that I was discussing earlier related to traffic signals.
Thanks, Mark. And I think we had a couple of subsequent questions about communities such as Hart's Landing, Saddle Ridge, and I think your answer is that you just had addresses those, is that we can't provide a left turn capability for every community on Route 24 with a signal. So unfortunately, there won't be signals provided at each of those communities. The next question is, where does the 4 lanes actually end from Route 1? At Mulberry Road?
So I can take that one. So the 4 lanes will extend from Route 1 all the way to past the Love Creek Elementary School Drive to what is Venter's Way, which is 1,500 feet west of the 2 schools.
Thanks, Will. We had a couple more questions about the Love Creek Bridge, and again, just to summarize what Mark Lutz did share, there are no current plans. We're addressing these projects are addressing just some short-term safety and operational needs, and any plans for a widening of the Love Creek Bridge is more of a longer term project that we will have to look at, but there's not an immediate plan in place to do so. The next question that we have is, yes, I think we believe we addressed this earlier. Route 24 should be needs to be 2 lanes in each direction from Route 24 and to Route 1. Again, that's something we did try to attempt to do previously, received a very negative response from the community, and therefore this is why we are now working on these smaller projects to address these intersections and more operational issues. So that's really where we are currently. And again, we may have to have that longer term discussion about, is it possible to do a larger widening project, but understand that impacts hundreds of residences to do that, and it would carry a significant price tag. Again, that's going to be a much longer term discussion about how do we address these issues in our community. So again, we're going to be working to get these projects done over the next couple of years, and then already beginning those longer term discussions in our part of our coastal corridors study. Again, as we look at all of our east-west corridors and how do we best manage the flow of traffic as Sussex County continues to grow. So the next question that we have is there any website that we can check to see road closures and delays before venturing out this summer? Yes, you can absolutely use our DelDOT website. We have you're able to pull up a map and look at current conditions. We do highlight road closures with traffic alerts. So yes, you can certainly do that. You can even use our free DelDOT app, and you can be alerted when you open that app. You can set up what area you want to receive alerts for, so you'll be notified of any potential closures or ongoing construction that could impact your travel. So that's something we definitely recommend that you take advantage of. Let's see. The next question that we have: do any of these projects involve widening bridges? If not, will these new lanes will just end up as a series of bottlenecks at bridges? Again, we did address that just briefly, that we don't currently have any plans to widen bridges. That's a much larger and extensive project that expands beyond the intersections. And again, that's something that we are going to have to continue to look at. However, in the short term, that is not part of these 7 projects that we've highlighted tonight. Let's see, the traffic signal question, just about traffic signal slow traffic, and has this consideration been given to leave Mulberry free flowing? I think that, again, that's one of the things that we're wrestling with. You see some of the other questions about folks wanting traffic signals at their communities to allow for left turns, and then there's also, you're correct, to alleviate traffic, having less traffic signals. So we really work hard to try and strike the balance of where do we need to have these critical lights and see the most traffic flow, while at the same time not making it a corridor that's just a continuous series of traffic signals. So again, that's our challenge, that we try to find a happy medium and balance. And again, that's one of the challenges that we have as this corridor continues to grow. So next, we have another question about will there be dedicated bike lanes between Route 113 and Route 1 along Route 24? And Mark, do you want to address that?
Yeah, I think Will kind of answered that already too, but just to expand, yeah. So the projects that we talked about today are some of them tie into each other, like the 2 closest to Route 1, they connect directly to each other, but the rest of them are really individual locations. So now most of Route 24 has a good shoulder, but you do. So the short answer is no, but most of Route 24 has a good shoulder, but you do lose that shoulder at right turn lanes for particular developments and intersections. So no, there's not going to be a dedicated bike lane the entire length.
Thank you. Next question was, will 24 by Harris Teeter be widened? Just wanting a general question there. And looks like Mark is going to.
Yeah, I can answer that, CR. Basically it is not going to be widened with the projects that we are proposing now. These projects are highway safety improvement projects, and its high priority is safety. So the Harris Teeter is at the SR 24 Bay Farm Road intersection, and that is still going to be one lane in each direction.
Thanks, Mark. Let's see. Does the Camp Arrowhead portion include removing the crosswalk near Bay Winds Drive? I'm pretty sure it does not. I know we are making some improvements to that, but I'll let Will jump in.
Yeah, you're right, CR. I think Bay Winds Drive is far south of our proposed project limit, so we will not be impacting that.
Great. Thanks, Will. The next question was, drivers in this area are making right turns onto through streets, have a tendency to cut into oncoming traffic without yielding to through traffic, regardless of whether it's signed or has a stoplight. These projects seem to be adding more locations with right turners, have opportunities to make unrestricted turns. Are any of these projects going to lessen the likelihood or risk for drivers being cut off by turning drivers? I think Mark can probably answer that. I think that's probably a problem we have everywhere, and unfortunately, that's a very hard thing to manage.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure I understand the question. Right through streets have a tendency. I mean, really, that's. So we try to engineer our roads to consider all the human factors involved, but we can't stop people from doing obnoxious and illegal things. So where we do see a really extra high level of whether it's just a poor behavior or illegal behavior, we do coordinate with state police or other police agencies as appropriate. But we're certainly adding right turn lanes throughout these projects. I think most, if not all, and any of the project managers can correct me if I'm wrong, most of our projects have, when we have the right turn lane, or at least at many locations, we have the islands out there as well. So that at least strongly discourages or eliminates the problem of somebody using the right turn lane to just go through the intersection. But having somebody, there's, until the robot cars take over the world and Big Brother's controlling your car for you, and I say that all that facetiously, there's people doing illegal or obnoxious things at a yield sign or a stop sign is really more of an enforcement issue than a DOT issue.
Thanks, Mark. The next question we had was hopefully that just about notifications for residents down Camp Arrowhead Road being notified of detours. Absolutely. Yeah, we definitely want to make sure we're keeping everybody informed of that. As soon as we have information about when Camp Arrowhead will be impacted, we'll be sure to share that out with traffic alerts, with the legislators, with Sussex County. Again, we'll absolutely do our best to get that information out so that everyone is aware of that. Next, we just had I think a general comment about 24 is becoming a busy place. It's also inquiring if there's new shopping centers planned along 24 in this corridor, or is it just going to be primarily residential communities?
So I'm not super familiar with all of the growth coming. I know there is a lot of residential coming. I believe there is some commercial that is at least, that is kind of centered on the Route 24 area. I mean, that area, we can find a better answer for that from our folks in planning who do the development approvals. But I believe it's at least along Route 24, it's at least a majority of residential.
Great. And Mark, why don't you stay on? I think, we're still getting questions here about, if your plan is to eventually widen 24, why not just do it now?
So, as we said, that was something that we were seriously considering in the 90s and early 2000s, and it was very much not appreciated by the public, strongly opposed. And that's why we DelDOT abandoned that plan. So the what we're doing with these projects are, we are widening where we can, which is, as we've described, essentially from a little bit east of Love Creek and tying that all into the lanes there closer to Route 1. And beyond that, well, in the Millsboro area, like I talked about, we do have the Millsboro bypass, but from where the Millsboro bypass ties back into Route 24 and Love Creek, at this time, all we're doing are these safety and operational upgrades that is not adding through capacity. Again, that goes back to the history of, we were starting to go down that path. It was before my time at DelDOT. I wasn't here, but I understand the history, and it was soundly opposed. Now, moving ahead, we are where we are. This is 2021. We have these projects that are really needed for, again, the immediate safety issues in particular, and the minor operational upgrades in the grand scheme of things. Again, we're not getting through most of the corridor. We're not getting another through lane on Route 24. That being said, we are, again, trying to work with the county to better plan for all of the growth that's coming in this area. So again, that's kind of why I went into the Transportation Improvement District. And those are projects, again, including the widening of, not the full widening, nothing isn't in any plan right now for the full widening of 24 between Millsboro and Route 1, but continuing the expansion to the west from where these projects will end is on the books as part of that Transportation Improvement District. That TID, I didn't get into the whole timing of that, again, because this public workshop's really not intended for that, but it was only approved in, I don't know the exact date, but sometime in 2020. So the whole approval of that TID is very recent. And the next step for the county and for DelDOT is to really now take the list of projects that were recommended out of that and to prioritize them moving ahead. So that has not happened yet, but I'm sure that the further widening of Route 24 will be on the agenda to look at, to see if we want to make that a priority project out of that Transportation Improvement District. But even if it is, there is a long way to go to fund, design, buy right away, and then build that project. You're likely likely 10 years away from that being implemented.
Thanks, Mark. The next question was, is there coordination between DelDOT and the developers? I think the answer to that is, that's yes. We continue to work closely with the developers, Sussex County. We've undertaken a number of initiatives. What Mark was just referencing with our Transportation Improvement District, that is, all designed to better forecast and plan where development's going to be happening so that DelDOT can address the infrastructure needs. Well, we know that hasn't been done very well in the past. It's something that we're wanting to do better in the future. So, yes, we are doing that. There's also just a question about the, when is Sussex County going to be having a comprehensive transportation organization like Will Mapco in Newcastle County? That, I think that's a good question. We work very closely with those organizations, and that's not a decision that DelDOT can dictate, and is one that Sussex County would need to take those steps to implement that type of organization, like a Will Mapco in the northern part of Delaware, to help with planning for growth. So again, that'd be a question for your Sussex County representatives. The next question was, given can we enabling a right turn lane to go west on 24, given that we're still some time away from having that Mulberry light there. Is there anything we're going to be possibly doing to address right turns to go west on Route 24?
So, we're focusing on finishing up the design and getting into construction, the project that we just described. So we don't have any plans to do any other interim work at that location. Again, there's the focus is on finishing up the design, the right-of-way acquisition, the utility relocations to get the full project implemented. So there's no other plans for any other interim work at Mulberry Knoll at this time.
Understood. The next question was, has there been any discussions on what the North Millsboro bypass will be designated as? I'm not quite sure what that might reference, and maybe that.
So I'm guessing they mean like a route designation. I'm not positive, but I am not aware. In other words, it could just have a name, or we could call it alternate Route 24, or we could redesignate Route 24 to the bypass and rename existing Route 24 through town. So I'm not aware of those conversations having happened yet. We still have several years before we're in construction on that project. So unless any of the other project managers know the answer to that one, that's certainly, if it hasn't happened already, we will be having that discussion moving ahead.
Great, thank you. Just a general comment about frustration about the traffic and the projects. Again, we're well aware of it. All the members of this project team are very familiar with this corridor, have spent a lot of time in this corridor working on these projects that we just shared with you this evening. Again, there's no easy way to get these done. Our goal is to try and complete them in as short amount of time as possible to get these improvements in place. If we were staging them and only doing them one at a time, it could take 10 years for us to finish these 7 projects that we highlighted here tonight. That's obviously not good enough. That's why we're really trying to condense down these project schedules. And we know that can be frustrating as you're moving east and west along the corridor to have multiple project areas to go through. Again, bear with us. We know it's an inconvenience, but again, we've heard that this area needs improvements, and we're working hard to deliver those improvements. So we know it's going to be an inconvenience and going to add extra time to your commutes. However, we know it's important to get this work done, and we're doing our very best to expedite that work. Just in terms of, I think this is a good question that we'll certainly look into. Would the state consider installing temporary traffic cameras at the Angola and Camp Arrowhead intersections so we can check on traffic delays? I think that's an excellent idea. We will flag that and look into that. I think we continue to grow our camera network across the state. We have about 200 cameras roughly now that you can log on to our website or our app that I've mentioned and see traffic conditions. Again, as Route 24 grows, I think you're spot on. It would be very helpful for you all to be able to say, hey, do I want to head out right now, or am I going to wait till a later time to go to the grocery or run an errand? If you're able to pull up a traffic camera. So yes, we will absolutely look into that. Thanks so much for that comment.
If I could jump in for a second, CR, I think the TMC is proposing some traffic monitoring at both those intersections. So we can definitely reach out to them and see if that's an opportunity to include some cameras for the public as well.
Thank you. Thanks. Next comment, any park and ride stops planned along Route 24? I'm not sure if anyone here of our panel has an answer to that. Again, growing public transit is absolutely another key part of how do we address congestion in Sussex County. And I know our DART First State is looking very hard at how we can do that. Maybe, even looking at smaller buses and really, how do we meet the needs of the community and make it attractive? Our Lewis Park and Ride, we've really focused a lot on the eastern side of Sussex in terms of making public transportation easily and readily available with our beach bus. But again, we've got folks that want to use public transportation to move east and west across the county, especially as growth continues. So yeah, I know that is something we're continuing to look at. I don't have an answer for you on any specifics that are planned, but that's something we'll certainly I'll make sure we get that back to our DART team so that they're aware. Is there another comment about the presentation for those that have joined? Again, we will be making this presentation available. We'll add the link on. I don't have a link right now because we've got to download it off of once it's live and we can share the link, but you can look for it tomorrow. We'll add it to our project page we'll add it to the project pages for the Route 24 corridor, and we'll make sure if you can even email us directly if you'd like to get a copy of that, and that email is right there on this screen. Would it be beneficial to add roundabouts at entrances to developments to enable cross-traffic turns? And maybe Mark wants to take that one again. We are absolutely looking at roundabouts, and we've been using them in other parts of the state successfully. But again, there's certain conditions and criteria where we have to consider those, and I'll let Mark elaborate on that.
Sure. Thanks, CR. So first, I'm a huge proponent of roundabouts where they are appropriately located and can be properly designed and implemented. Literally, I've given presentations to the public dozens of times on the benefits of roundabouts at certain locations. But given the traffic volume on Route 24, that's not really the type of corridor that we're implementing roundabouts on. The through traffic is just too heavy. The roundabouts would break down and be overly congested. And so no, we are not considering roundabouts on Route 24. Now, again, as part of the Transportation Improvement District, we're talking about many roundabouts off of Route 24 on a bunch of the smaller roads that are not Route 1, Route 24, Route 9, but a lot. I don't have the list in front of me, but we are considering roundabouts on a lot of the roads away from Route 24.
Thanks, Mark. Just a comment about, can you time the traffic signals to alleviate the problem taking a left turn between signals? We're always monitoring our traffic signals. Again, if you're encountering an issue, you can report that to us, and we'll, we're certainly able to communicate about, traffic signal issues. There's not going to be a perfect solution. Anytime you take time away from one side or add time, you're potentially causing an issue in the other direction. So it's a delicate balance. Mark, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, it's funny. I literally, this question came in on a totally different part of the state yesterday too. So I think what they're asking is, can we time the signals so that at a development that's a stop sign that you get a gap? And the answer is no, we can't, for a couple reasons. First of all, that would result in unnecessary delays at the signalized locations. Second of all, even if we wanted to do that, anytime that we would try to line that gap up for one location, it just means it's not going to be a gap for another location. So we do the best we can, timing our traffic signals to have progression along a corridor of Route 24, which is not easy, particularly when it's busy, particularly when a corridor like this, which is very busy, particularly in the summer, but really all year long. As we get close to capacity, there's really not much you can do with the traffic signal timings. You're going to end up stopping at multiple signals along the corridor anyway. But no, our Transportation Management Center, their goal is to try to have progression along a corridor. We can't really time the signals to work for the unsignalized intersections.
Thanks, Mark. And Mark, just stay on, if you will. There was just a question about, obviously these projects that are happening now and starting very soon will take multiple, up to 2 years to complete. Will construction be continuing during the summer peak period on these projects?
So yes, they will be continuing during the summer. I guess I'm not sure what the exact, I know Mark Whiteside in particular talked about it on one or both of his projects, that there will be there's various restrictions on when the contractor will be able to take to shift traffic or to take lanes or to implement detours. So really each individual project's a little bit different. I don't know if any of the project managers want to chime in or if Tom wants to talk any more about that, but yeah, the projects are going to continue over the summer. And that's another thing, CR, you kind of mentioned it before too. If we stopped work during the summer, then we're just going to be out there for at least probably 2 more years at each location than working through the summer.
Yeah, Mark, I would just add, I guess, that All of the projects pretty much have the same work hours and lane restrictions that are allowable in the contract documents. The work will continue to go on during the summer season, but as we've mentioned previously, I believe, there will not be any through lanes allowed to be closed on 24 during the daytime hours. The only closures that will be allowed, if a contractor chooses to do so, will be at night. Now, the only caveat I would say is there are, as we've already noticed at Warrington Road, there are some right turn lanes that we just weren't able to build enough temporary pavement at particular intersections to keep that movement available at all times during the construction duration. But we are certainly aware of the impact that it creates on the through corridor when we impact left turn lanes and right turn lanes. So the department is doing everything possible to minimize those times.
Thanks, Tom. And again, just another comment about, in general, just wanted to provide information for those of you. We did have we've talked extensively about the Henlopen TID that was approved last year. There's a lot of information available about that. Back to that roundabout question. There are 13 proposed roundabouts in the Henlopen TID. So if you're a fan of a roundabout, we are looking to utilize those in a number of areas. And you can visit the website that we have, specifically about the Henlopen TID to look at what the land use projections are and what the potential projects associated with the development in the TID are. So there's a lot of information that we do make available. If you can't find it, give us a call, shoot us an email. We're happy to call you directly or and help walk you through so you find the information that you're curious to learn more about. So we definitely want to help inform about that. Again, just looks like we're winding down in the comments section, and again, appreciate everyone's dedicating more than an hour tonight to spend with us. There's again this back and forth between this urgency we see in the comments of wanting see things happen faster, whether it's dualization or any of these projects, but also frustration about them taking place at the same time. And again, it's a delicate balance. We want to get projects done as quickly as possible. If we're only doing one project at a time along the corridor, we could take upwards of 10 years to complete any number of projects. So again, we know it's going to be a lot happening over a short period of time, with the hope that once we get to 2023, all these projects are going to be winding down and coming to completion, and really that'll be a significant upgrade from the current conditions that have been experienced. So again, that's we're really working hard to expedite this work. We're very sensitive to the impact that it has, and know it can be an inconvenience as you all try to go about your daily lives, and we're really trying to work hard to get this done and make these improvements as quickly as possible. So with that, I'm not seeing any more questions coming in. I'll open it back up to our panel for any closing remarks, and then we'll go ahead and we'll stick around for a few more minutes in case there's any more questions that come up. And if not, again, we'll end the session, and we'll get this recording finalized in the presentation and make that available to you all. And if you have follow-up questions, please reach out to us. We're happy to happy to continue the dialogue going forward.
Yeah, thanks, CR. Just I'll speak on behalf of the design project team and Tom and in construction and our whole team here at DelDOT that we greatly appreciate everybody's participation tonight. I thought the questions were very good. Trust me, I on some of the I can feel the frustration coming through the Q&A, particularly for those of you who may be looking for some bigger projects that are not currently planned. And we understand, and we'll coordinate with our partners in the DelDOT planning group and the county to look at moving some of those bigger projects ahead, moving into the future. So yeah, thanks very much for everybody's time tonight, and we'll see you out there through construction over the next 2 or so years.
And Mark, just on that, there was just another comment about their, hoping for a Route 24 traffic working group. Again, we are launching our coastal corridor study, which doesn't just include 24. We're really looking at all, we've been looking how to improve north-south traffic flow for a long time. And again, east-west has been a puzzle that we have not yet solved. And really coastal corridors that we're going to be launching. Absolutely. We've had a great, we've had a lot of good input with our 5 points working group. And again, with coastal corridor focused on 16 and 404, for example, again, there is potential for us to look at other ways that for longer term planning on Route 24 as well. So again, just encourage you all to stay engaged in these processes as they move forward. Your input is critical. Again, there was comments about, well, people didn't want it dualized 20 or 30 years ago, but times have changed. You're absolutely right. And, your input and you expressing that to your Sussex County representatives, your local legislators, that, this needs to be prioritized. That's really, how we will be able to move forward on larger projects in the future. So again, short-term work now, longer term needs. And, thank you all for your engagement and continued feedback, as we work to address these issues. Okay, so with that, without any further comments, 6:15. If you haven't had dinner yet, you're probably getting hungry and ready for dinner. And again, thank you all for dedicating, giving us more than an hour this evening to get an update on this corridor. We'll continue to provide updates. And again, if you have any follow-up questions or anything coming after if you have a chance to spend a little more time with the presentation, you want to get in touch with us, please let us know. We'll certainly be sharing out the link to this recording as well. Once we download it and finalize it, we'll get that posted. If not tonight, tomorrow, and make that all available. So thank you again, everyone. Really appreciate it. Hope everyone's staying safe. Looking forward to warmer temperatures and sunshine after some messy weather over the past couple of weeks. And again, thank you so much for your engagement, your feedback. It's really valuable for us. And we're eager to continue to work with you going forward. So on that, thanks everyone. Have a great night.